Today I'm talking about 3 recent films, all starring this actor. And the names of those 3 films are Alienoid, Cobweb, and Night in Paradise. First up is Alienoid. This is a 2022 film and I love it so much. This is the whole reason I did this theme, by the way, because I was just like, this looks ridiculous, and spoilers, it is ridiculous, but in the most amazing way possible. So like, the premise is this alien species secretly uses Earth to imprison their prisoners. Specifically, they put them inside of people, but occasionally some get out. So that's why there is this android and his robot companion, and they're supposed to take care of anyone that breaks out, and it can happen all throughout time, so there's lots of time travel involved. It's so great. There's so much to this movie, and that leads to why I love it so much, is just because it's so ridiculous and so absurd, and it's intentionally funny. Like, it's trying to be funny, and it's so funny. The only complaint I really have with the movie is that there's just so many characters, so like, you really got to make sure you're paying attention to who everyone is and all that stuff. But they do a pretty good job of making all of the characters really stand out on their own. The humor's top-notch, the action is so great. I really love the lore of the universe and all of the characters. The story's so interesting. There's a sequel. I'm so excited to watch the sequel. My favorite character is Thunder. That's the name of the android's robot companion that sometimes turned into like a hologram version of him. I can understand if you get confused and lost in this movie, because oh my god, there's so much. But man, it's so much fun. Like, if you can just really pay attention, it's such a delightful, silly, ridiculous film that's so interesting. It is important to note that this is only half of the story. They filmed part 1 and part 2 back to back, so they knew that this was happening. There is resolve at the end of this part 1. Like, we learn a lot of answers, and it does feel like a conclusion point. But it is important to know that there is a part 2. That's already released, so you don't need to wait around. So yes, no, I crazy love this movie and I would wholeheartedly recommend it. It's silly, it's ridiculous, it's action-packed, it's got such crazy and interesting lore, it's not like anything else, and it's so much fun. So yes, thoroughly enjoyed, totally recommend. Next up is Cobweb. This is a 2023 film starring this guy who I've seen so many times, and it's directed by the guy who I've also seen a number of his films and enjoyed all of them. The basic premise is it's the early 70s, and this director who is living in the shadow of his mentor has just wrapped production on his newest film, but then through some dreams he gets some inspiration and demands 2 more days of shooting, so he like cobbles together 2 more days of shooting. And it's a really fascinating film that I definitely enjoyed. I'm not going to talk about it a ton though, because I don't feel like I'm the best person to really commentate on this. Like, it really does deserve more of a deep dive analysis, just because it's good. This is made with lots of passion and there's so much to it, and like, there's definitely references that I'm not getting because I'm not well versed in 70s Korean films or the film industry at that time. But even without knowing that information, I still had a good fun time with it. It was just kind of like one of those chaos is happening everywhere, but somehow they're still managing to like accomplish their goal type of things. That in and of itself was interesting. Like, are they going to be able to pull it all together? Because it seems like they're not. So that's just fun. But I think if you're a Korean cinephile, you'll definitely get more out of this than I did. But I think still just a casual viewer can get a good amount out of this. So yeah, no, I definitely enjoyed this film. I do think it's for a specific audience, but anyone can definitely watch it. So I would recommend it. And lastly is Night in Paradise. This is a 2021 film, and the basic premise is this gangster is thinking about leaving the business, but then tragedy strikes, and so now he's out for revenge. But maybe revenge is a bit more complicated than he initially thought. And it's pretty solid. I definitely enjoyed this film. It's very gory, which I was not expecting, but definitely enjoyed. The main actor did a good job. I like liked his chemistry with the Korean woman that I've seen a number of times. I really liked her performance too. It is a bit of a melodrama for sure, because there are a number of characters who are just dying for reasons, and the end is not the happiest of times. But I did enjoy the end a lot. I think the end really worked and fit in tone with the rest of the story. It is definitely good. I don't think it's a film that's going to stick with me the longest, which in a sense is okay, because in a number of years I can rewatch it and watch it with fresh eyes. Yeah, it was interesting, it was fun, the action was good, the story was interesting, the performances were good. It didn't blow me away, but I definitely still had an enjoyable time with it. So would I recommend it? Yeah, I would. Not as strongly as the other films I talked about today, but it is still an enjoyable experience for sure. It's kind of John Wick-esque, but more sad. So if that's kind of the vibe you're looking for, then yeah, no, this is worth a watch. Alrighty, now for today's rankings. First up, we got Alienoid sitting at number 3 in the really like section. And then after that is Cobweb sitting at number 6, again in the really like section. And then bringing up the rear, not too terribly far behind, is Night in Paradise sitting at number 8 in the quite like section. And this is out of a total of 15 old movies so far this year.